Hey guys, John here from movieloversunite. Do me a big favor real quick before we actually start up this interview. I just want to let you know too that I actually have director Jason Pitts with me, and I also have actor Aaron Palmer with me from Lonely Echoes. They're here to discuss Lonely Echoes and the process of what they're doing with it. Also too, go on ahead and rate me on Good Pods and also too on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. That actually allows people to go ahead and find us easier on those podcasting apps. So, with further ado, let's go on ahead, get on with the show. I'm excited to have Jason back here with me again. I'm excited to have Aaron for the very first time on my show. It's a privilege to actually have both of these guys on here. So, let's go on ahead. Let's get on with it. I know you guys are waiting, and here we go. And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. Like I said, I have Jason Pitts with me, and I also have Aaron Palmer with me, both from Lonely Echoes. Say hello to everybody, guys.
Hello. How you doing,
Hey,
John?
guys.
I'm doing great, man. It's great to actually have you guys back over here. As a matter of fact, I know this is your first time, Aaron. Welcome to the show. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here. And thank you for accepting Jason's invite to be on the show and everything too. Because I just want to say you did a really good job playing the sheriff in Lonely Echoes. I thought you did a very good job. Not
Yeah,
Lonely Echoes. Well, anyways, you did a very good job in Masquerade.
Yeah.
And this will go on my blooper reel. But anyways, it's a privilege to actually have you guys here. Um, but Jason, man, it's been a little bit. We did a review and everything for the new Scream movie. It's great to have you back on here again, like I said. So I know that you've been working on Lonely Echoes for a while, and I know that you've been having a little bit of issues with trying to get this thing off the ground. But for some people that don't know what Lonely Echoes is, how would you describe Lonely Echoes? And also, too, what to expect from Lonely Echoes, and also, too, about the Alone Saga.
Yeah. So, Lonely Echoes, the best way to describe it is kind of like Seven meets Psycho. It's an investigative horror film, kind of like in the same vein as like Seven was, or even the first Saw film. If you remember, like before the traps get all crazy in like part 2 and 3, the first Saw film was very much kind of in the same subgenre of that investigative horror type film, and also like Silence of the Lambs. So that's the subgenre that we are modeling Lonely Echoes after. It is the third film in the Alone Saga. The Alone Saga is a 4-part series that we have planned, telling an overarching story. Each one you can watch kind of like its own story without really having to watch the previous ones. But if you do watch the previous ones, you'll catch more things, and a lot more things will make sense. Um, so, in the first film, we had Alone, which told the story of Kat meeting this character named Patty, and what happens with that. And then the second film, Masquerade, tells a story of an international supermodel named Sylvia Darnell, who invites this guy that she met online over for a blind date. They've never met in person. When he gets there, it's very clear that neither one of them are who they said they were online very quickly, and things take a turn. And then Lonely Echoes, this third film that we're trying to get off the ground and shoot, kind of starts to merge those two storylines together. And then the fourth film, Unmasked, when we do get to that, is going to just wrap everything up and conclude it.
Okay, I like the idea of like to be honest with you, I like a small build to something that takes a longer time to build up, and then once the tension's released, it's released. And you definitely do a great job with your directing style and things like that. You know me, I'm a fan of yours and everything too. I fully support what you're
Very
doing.
appreciated.
You're very welcome. And I just want to say it. Every single time when you hand me something of yours, I feel I'm always fanboying and geeking out over it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. When you send me Masquerade, I'm not quite sure where it's going, but once it gets to the place that you're trying to go to, it just doesn't slow down. I wanted to see more. And this is hard to believe that this is a short film, but you managed to put a lot of thought into it, a lot of energy into it. It's very thought provoking as well. And the psychological, it gives you a lot of different premises from horror. I really enjoy what you did with this stuff because the very first time I actually got introduced to you was when we did the Alone movie. When
Yeah.
I did the trailer reaction and I also interviewed you and stuff like that, but I was glued into the characters and the characterization of those characters and how I was able to care about those characters. With this one is totally different from what I like about this is you break from those characters, then you go to these other set of characters. You don't know how this is going to tie in or anything like that. It kind of reminds me of Traffic, where you don't know where these characters are going to meet, but you know they're going to meet sometime because of the fact that it's the Alone Saga. So it has to have some type of cohesiveness to it, which is something I do appreciate.
Yeah, yeah, I love Traffic. That's funny that you mentioned that. Great film. It's paced very well. I'm kind of modeling it also a little bit of just the structure of the entire thing is modeled a little bit kind of like after the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how they have these in credit scenes, that tease to the next film, or even sometimes two or three films down the line. Um,
Which is
so
rare for a horror movie to even do something like that, to be
yeah.
honest with you. You expect that like in an MCU movie, comic book film, stuff like that. But you don't really expect that from a horror movie.
Mhm.
And that's something that's got really good authenticity from it. I'm going to say.
Also, like M. Night Shyamalan's series, the Unbreakable Glass and
Mm-hmm.
Split.
Yeah, Unbreakable, Split. I love those movies though too,
Yeah.
and the twist within a twist kind of thing. I definitely like those movies too. I can definitely see where you got your inspiration from with this Alone Saga. With that, Aaron, I do have a question for you though. Like,
Yeah.
is there any other? What got you into acting? What made you say, "Hey, look, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life"? Or is this just something that Jason calls you up one day and say, "Hey, look, I have this part. And I'm trying to get this part off the ground, but it's just not landing with anybody in the auditions, maybe, or something like that. So I need some help here." So what made you decide, hey, look, I want to do this?
Oh, that's exactly what happened. Jason called me. I forgot what we was even talking about. I called him about something, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, the guy that's was going to play Captain Rogers in Masquerade is not going to be there now. Would you like the part?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So, and I was like, like I said earlier, I've got a little, I've got about 12 years of law enforcement under my belt, which I retired out of it last March. So I was like, I've watched enough police dramas. I think I can pull this off. And Jason sent me the script. I read over it. I really liked it. I mean, I read the entire script. I didn't just read my part, but I read over it and I was like, man, that's when I knew. I was like, man, this thing has got some meat to it. I really like this. I really like this script, and I think I can do this. So I told him, I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So, as far as acting goes, I used to play around a lot when we was kids. You just grow up, you think you'd
Mm-hmm.
like to do something and all that. I've never actually pursued an active acting career. I've just always done other things. But this is something I really like doing. And man, I've got some old films. Me and my friends, we used to run around, and we had the old camcorder on the shoulder, and we did like little stills of like our own original Batman series. Of course,
Oh
our
wow,
budget
that's
was
pretty
like
cool.
$10, stuff like that. The VHS tape was probably the most expensive part of the whole thing, but and when Jason asked me that, it just brought back all those memories of like we done some very bad backyard wrestling things, and just stupid stuff. At the time, we could all got hurt. Just crazy stuff, independent things. And when Jason asked me that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try because I haven't done it in a while, and I loved it, man. I read that script and I was like, this is it. I'm doing it. So that's pretty much where I picked that up at.
You know what though? Like whenever I saw your part, on Masquerade, I'm like, this dude seems like he carries himself like a cop. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I'm like, this guy is not phoning it in or either shoehorning it in or anything like that, which is something I really do appreciate. You actually you're dialed into this character. You are that cop.
Right.
And you can read right past that character because nothing that she's doing is like adding up. You're kind of like, okay, yeah. And just writing down everything that she's saying, knowing that she's BSing you the whole time. Yeah. But I like how dialed in you are into this character to make me believe that you are that small town cop and that you are going to try and bring justice to these people that died. And so I definitely like that.
Yeah, I just drew on my experience as actually being a police officer, earlier, and that's what helped me get into the role because I put my mindset in that, like, because I've done those interviews in real life. I'm like, I know how to do this. So that part it didn't bother me at all to do that. So I knew exactly what Jason needed. So that's what we did.
That's great, man. And another thing though, too, is like, I like how you go into this thing like, okay, I played Batman when I was a kid. I started doing this off the wall stuff and just little fun things. And it's like, I don't think I'm ever it's gonna escalate to anything else outside of this or whatever. Years pass by. Next thing you know, you're involved with a film that you never knew that you would actually be a part of, which I think is actually awesome.
Yeah, when Jason told me and I looked at the names on the film, I was like, man, I'm way out of my league. These guys have like a huge IMDb, and all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, they're, and I looked a lot of them up. Olivia, I looked her stuff up, and Samantha's, man, I was like, I'm way out of my league on this one.
But one thing I can say about Jason, though, is this. He treats everybody like family on the set, it seems like. Yeah. And it seems like everybody just gets along really well on set.
Oh, yeah.
And things like that. And it's rare to actually find that and everything. And it's great to actually have that on set to where everybody welcomes you in like family. Because you can be on set, for example, like if you're working on a TV series and it's like season 3 of something. And everybody knows each other, but you're kind of like the freshman in high school where it's like, okay, I'll just sit over here and mind my own business. They're doing their thing. It's kind of like going into somebody's house and you're having to sit down and you're the guest and you don't want to do it. And, you don't want to cause a ruckus or anything like that. So you're just going to sit down and just sit down by yourself for a little bit because you don't know anybody.
Well, that's the thing I liked about working with Jason and the whole crew. I mean, from the moment that I rode over there with him, I got out. I didn't feel strange at all. I got out. Everybody was really friendly. I mean, everybody come up. I hadn't met any of these people, and they come up and they were talking to me and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing? You must be Captain Rogers, And I was like, "Yeah, I'm playing him." And man, it's just a genuine, friendly. It's the friendliest bunch of people I've ever worked with. I'll put it that way. And everybody just treats everybody good. And I mean, it was one of the best experiences I've had in my life so far.
That's great, man. I'm actually glad to hear that. And Jason, I know that you're going through many challenges with this movie and stuff like that and trying to get this thing off the ground. And, my question is this. I know the budget is a big issue and everything when it comes down to making films and things like that. I'm rooting for you to get this thing off the ground because I'm that much invested into this saga.
It's going to happen no matter, like, I'm the type of person, I just don't quit. So one way or the other, it's going to get filmed. Right now, we're trying to have the budget to film it in May. It is not looking like that's going to happen unless a miracle happens. We do have some grants that we've applied for. It's possible that one of those can come through, and we'll be able to start filming. But I'm not counting on that. But if the end or the beginning of April or the middle of April comes around and we don't have what we need yet, we're just going to postpone it and keep going, keep fundraising until we do have what we need. So that's my plan. It either happens or it happens down the road.
Right. And I'm happy that it is still, because I know you and your mindset and everything too. You're like me. I don't know when to give up or anything like that. I'm pretty much resilient when it comes to different things
Yeah.
and things like that. And also too, when people say, I don't think you can do, I'm going to prove that person wrong no matter what.
Absolutely.
So that's just how I am. But, you know, to actually see you say, hey, look, I'm going through a little bit of a stumble. I'm going to get back off my feet, dust myself off, and I'm going to get this thing done. I commend you for that, because most people are like, you know what? I have this stumbling block. It's just not happening. I might have to go on ahead and work some odd jobs or something like that. Sell maybe my comic book collection if you have one or something like that, just to get this movie made.
I do have
Just like
one,
Kevin
and
Smith had
I've
to do.
thought about it.
It's hard. It breaks my heart to see people having to do that. But I understand though, because but you also have to look at it like this too. It's also the greater the reward, higher
Yeah.
the risk, the bigger the reward is. And yes, it's a risk doing that because you're losing something that you're attached to maybe and stuff like that too. But you know, in the
Yeah.
outcome, it's going to be great.
Yeah. I really have thought about it. There's actually a comic book convention coming close this month, and I actually thought about taking my comics up there and doing that. But for me, the film and this saga is way more important because it represents where I want to be. It represents the future. The comic books are the past. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So
Time to move forward. Don't look backwards. I
yeah.
get that. And another thing too is, how does Lonely Echoes different from the other two films? And without giving too much spoilers or anything like that.
Yeah. So the tone of Lonely Echoes is different. We're doing each of these films in the style of their own subgenre. Alone was the psychological horror film like Misery. Masquerade was the home invasion slasher film like The Strangers, and then already talked about it a little bit, but Lonely Echoes is like the investigative horror, like Seven or Saw or Silence of the Lambs. And the main character is her name is Kim, Detective Kim Spencer. If you did watch Masquerade, she was at the end of Masquerade,
Right.
and she gets a phone call at the end of Masquerade about her sister Kat, who was the main character in Alone. Her twin sister has gone missing. So, Lonely Echoes tells the story of her trying to find what happened to her sister, and that's where we pick up.
Okay. I like the idea of it being different tones for different movies. I think it actually adds a little bit of Hitchcock kind of flavor to it that's totally different, that's missing out in cinema now. Because you can do a sequel to something, but it's just the same repetitive stuff that they actually came up with the first two films or
Right.
whatever. But you managed to actually do something different and ballsy and are really authentic. And that's
Well,
something that I really like.
one of the reasons for doing this saga was to showcase to the world or anyone who may see them, these four films, what me and my team can do in these different subgenres of the horror genre. So, like, hey, we don't just do slasher films, or we don't just
Mhm.
do this type of film. It's like we can do all these different types of horror films and do them pretty well. And that's that was one of the main purposes of doing it like this.
Okay. I definitely like that idea though, because now you're getting so much buzz off of Masquerade
Yeah.
and everything, and you're showing them the level of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And congratulations, you earned that, man.
Thank you.
You and your team, the actors involved, Aaron and everybody that's involved deserve that. Commends you. I commend you guys big time for that.
Thank you.
Seriously, you're very welcome. Um, but Aaron, my other thing is too that I was wondering about was this: are you thinking about doing anything else in the future aside from the saga, or what other plans do you have probably in the future?
Well, I told Jason that anytime he needs help, or if he needs anything else, I'll be glad to work with him. I'll help him out. I mean, we've been friends for a long time. We've gone through thick and thin together on a lot of different stuff. And just one thing I want to point out while ago, when Jason says he doesn't give up, he means it. He's not going to give up. So But as far as other things go, what I've always wanted to do personally. I've always wanted to be a voice actor because I used to, and I can still do a lot of imitations, but I've always really wanted to do some voice acting. But I wouldn't mind doing other stuff on the screen. I mean, I can do it, you know. So
Actually, one of the reasons I reached out to Aaron to fill this role of Captain Rogers when the other actor wasn't able to do it was we used to play Magic the Gathering together.
Oh,
And we
sweet.
used to go to conventions, especially like here in the middle of the country. And one time we went down to Houston together and had a weekend down there playing Magic. But he cosplays quite a bit, and he went down there. He went down there as Austin Powers, and like just seeing him do that down there in his element, and like just people coming up to him, and I knew he could act, is what I'm saying. So I knew that he had it in him because I saw that, and then he also did. I have another friend who runs a cancer pediatric cancer. Uh, what's the word?
Pediatric.
Cancer like benefit or
yeah, charity.
Yes, charity. Yeah, it's called Heroes and Angels, and she's out of Central Arkansas, but she needed somebody to go spend time with a patient in Fort Smith, which is close to where both Aaron and I are. And I immediately thought of Aaron. I was like, hey, and I called Aaron. I was like, hey, can you help my friend out? She's looking for a cosplayer. And he went and as Captain Jack Sparrow. So, and spent some time with this kid. So yeah, I knew he could act. I knew he had it in him, and I knew that he had been a cop for a long time too. So I knew that the role wouldn't be too much of a stretch for him, and that he could do it. So I had all the confidence in the world in him that he would be able to pull that particular role off. So he can do what he wants, man. He has it if he chooses to do that.
That's pretty cool though, man. I never that's awesome because here's the thing too. I used to be into Magic the Gathering. I used to be heavy into it in high school and stuff like that too. Like I had a sliver deck. I used to have an angel deck. I was always going to tournaments because my science teacher actually hosted the tournaments in high school. So he would show us our rankings during our high school lessons and stuff like that, and just be totally geeked out over where we are and everything. He goes, okay, so we're gonna do a tag team match, and then next thing you know, Magic the Gathering has always been a fun game for me. I just don't have anybody to play with anymore, so I actually had to sell my set and everything. Yeah. But to know that Aaron is able to pull off these characters because of cosplaying and things like that, that you can get it out of him. It's just a matter of trying to find that switch to turn it on. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Hey man, I love costuming too. I mean, all my stuff that I do, I think it's movie quality because I spend the money and I do the notorious digging on things to put the costume together. Like I was talking about that, like you don't think it's a lot trying to put a police uniform together, but you go try to put a captain's uniform together. That's a tough deal because you have to have credentials and you have to, you actually have to have things to pull stuff like that off. But yeah, like the Jack Sparrow thing, I've spent probably $200 or more just on things just to make it look authentic, movie quality, and it looks pretty dang good. The most expensive part was the wig, but
that's dedication, dude. That's dedication and passion right there.
That's pretty much how I met Jason, was like you said, when we played Magic together. And I've never told Jason this, and I'll tell him this now because he's on camera and he can't get away from it. But I knew, man, I knew he was going to be a great friend because when we sat down to play, whether he won or lost, sometimes he didn't have the best attitude when he lost, but I really respected his creativeness. I mean, he was always thinking outside the box on Magic. Yeah. And he just translated over to his films. And actually on that trip to Houston, I asked him what he used to do, and he said, "Man," he said, I went to college to actually, do film and, train to be a producer and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Really? What are you doing living in Arkansas?" Because that's what I thought. Because no one around here does that kind of stuff. I didn't know anybody, and we just got to talking about that, and from that moment on, I knew, man, just from those early days of Magic and his creativeness and his overall tenacity and different things and the way he thought, I was like, man, this guy can do anything he wants. And so far, he's doing that for himself, and he's doing it. I mean, I would have never thought that these films would go as far around the world as they've gone, but Jason's put the legwork in, and he's done it. And I'm just going to tell anybody that's watching the show or that does watch this, they need, even if you're not a horror fan, you need to watch these films because they're great. And man, I've watched Alone probably 50 times, just, and I see something different in it every time I watch it. And Masquerade, and I'm not promoting it because I was in it, alone, but man, it's a great story. And every time I watch it, he posted a link, and I watched it again today, and I just keep watching it. It's just a great story that Jason's come up with, and this whole series, it's going to blow your mind. I mean, when it gets out there and people actually start getting a hold of it and watching it, I think they're really going to love it. And I mean, they will. I think they'll like it.
I think so too.
But Jason's just always been there, man. He's just always had that drive. And when I seen what him and these guys are doing with Alone, he invited me to it. And I was like, man, this is good. This is something, And but he's got what it takes. He really does.
That's great though, man. Like for real. Because here's the thing, you never know what you're gonna what kind of contacts you're gonna wind up with. You don't know how far something's gonna go. You don't know the outreach they're gonna go with something. All you know is what's in front of you in the small cubicle that we live in, and thinking this is it. This is just my little small box, and that's all it is. Not that many people might like it or anything like that. It's just gonna go as far as my little box can take me. But what Jason's doing, it's going right outside that small box and taking down other things in the way and everything. Right. And that is passion, that is dedication, that is just everything rolled into one thing, which is very impressive. Because here's the thing, even doing this podcast and everything too, I can relate to that because I'm like, I get on a podcast, I'll talk about movies, I'll interview people. It's not going to go anywhere or anything like that. Next thing I know, I have directors emailing me. I have people, just a big huge outreach, so you never know who you're going to be meeting on the other end.
Yeah, just that didn't happen overnight though for you, man. I don't know how long you were at it before I got in touch with you. About a year ago. 4 years. Yeah, so yeah, you've been building, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you, man.
And you're
appreciate it.
You're growing, and you can tell the numbers just keep going up every month and every year. So keep going.
I will, man. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Because here's the thing, it's not a race, it's a marathon. And if you go into thinking that you're going to blow up in one night, that's not going to happen. It may happen to some small people or whatever and stuff like that, but that 1% is over 1 billion people.
Sure.
So if people are thinking, oh, I'm going to make a YouTube channel and a bunch of people are going to love me and a bunch of people are going to subscribe to my channel, or I'm going to make a movie and everybody's going to love it and they're just going to flock over to me because I made something or I'm doing something, that's not always the case, because it's going to take a long time to build a network with people, and also to work with the best people that that you can work with and network with and be comfortable around. Because it's rare to find someone that's out there for you and not trying to look for something that's going to benefit somebody else. That's the biggest thing nowadays. Everybody's looking out for number one instead of looking out for each other. And it's rare to find that.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's looking for their own angle.
Yep.
Their own angle. That's it.
Exactly. But, aside from that and stuff like that, I believe that this Lonely Echoes thing is going to take off, just like how Masquerade's taking off. And I know that you've been wanting to get this thing off the ground since Masquerade was released. And I just want to say this, the hours that you put into editing and doing everything that you're doing, it's going to pay off in the long run. I remember when you were on the set of filming Masquerade, and the hours that you put into filming and just the overnight experience of it and just the overwhelming hours and stuff like that. And I remember how tired you were, to the point where people were telling you, hey, look, you need to take a break. You need to relax a little bit. But, it's just.
I was also recovering from hernia surgery at that time too, like just a couple days before. I was for the first 2 days of shooting, my crew would not let me get out of my chair. They're like, "No, you stay there."
That's awesome, though, that the crew is trying to take care of you while you're also trying to take care of them. Like I said, it goes back to being family on the set, which you don't really see that much often on big sets or anything like that. It's rare, but yeah, you see it every once in a while. So my other thing is this too. I know that you recently saw the Batman movie. So what did you think?
I loved it. My only critique about it is I didn't think Pattinson did very good as Bruce Wayne. I thought he was fantastic as Batman. And I think that there's a reason he wasn't Bruce Wayne in the film for very long. Like, I think maybe a total of 10 minutes, if that.
Right. I even said
this. The majority of the film was him as Batman. And when he was Batman, it was amazing. Probably the best Batman there's been. But I really did not like him as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, here's the thing. This is what I said in my podcast episode when we did the review on it. I said he's 90% Batman and 10% Bruce Wayne. And I'm okay with that because of the fact that we're going for more of the detective angle, which I'm okay with. And then that 10% doesn't really matter to me because of the fact that we're dealing with more of a detective level kind of Batman than we're used to. So it reminded me of the animated movie, not animated movies, but, just reminds me of the video games, the comics and stuff like that on the detective level. It's like Saw meets Seven meets the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. But, I thought the tone was very good. It has that slow build to it that I like. And it does feel like a detective movie versus a Batman movie.
Yeah, that was really my only critique. I thought the acting was great, cinematography was great, the story was really good. I loved the riddles. Like when you're dealing with the Riddler, you got to have good riddles. If you don't have good,
right,
and so that's the challenge with having Riddler in the film, right? You got to have good riddles, and it's got to be ones that people haven't really heard before, right? And they did a good job with that. So if I was making a Batman movie, and that would be like one of the hardest things for me to do, is to come up with really, really good, intricate riddles that people haven't heard before. And I thought they did a good job with that. I love. So I just want to point out that I wrote and came up with the idea and the theme of Masquerade way before I saw Batman.
Okay.
Because they talked about masks. They mentioned the word masquerade. They talked about unmasking.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of the same themes and concepts that are in Masquerade were in the Batman, which I thought was cool.
But the thing that I like about yours, though, versus Batman, though, is the fact that you're not talking about like a physical mask. You're talking about a mental state of somebody, subconsciousness of unmasking the real you, unmasking who that person really is underneath something versus something physical. So that's something that I really liked about your Masquerade movie, was because of, and it was so special to me as a reviewer, as someone that loves horror movies, is the fact that you're doing something so unique and so uniquely different because of the fact that you're using the mask as an invisibility cloak, because everybody uses a mask and pretends to be something that they're not and everything. And, I like how you use that on Masquerade.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Because here's the thing. Yeah, you can talk about a mask all day long. And yes, you can actually go on ahead and use the physicalness of it. But there's so much more behind the lens, so much more behind the context of it, So, I thought Masquerade was a great movie. And also, too, with Aaron playing the small-time sheriff and everything, I was glued in even more. And you know, like I said before, he's so dialed into it. He reminded me of something from like Andy Griffin, where I'm just so dialed into his small town cop flavor of it. And I'm like, I want to see more of this guy. I want to see more of the detective work. I want to see more of the twin sister and him teaming up and figuring this thing out and having like the little conspiracy theories on the wall and everything too of how everything's pieced together. So that's what I would love to see. But you know, I'm just geeked out over this your Lone Saga. I fell in love with it from the moment that you sent it in to me to review the very first movie and to
Well,
see how much it's grown. I'm
hopefully you
excited.
can review 2 more.
Hey, I'm down. I'm down to
Yeah.
review 2 more. If you want me to re-review something, I'll re-review something. I don't care. Either way it goes, I'll try and help you out getting more of this stuff out there for people to check out because I believe small indie films deserves the same amount of credit as these large budget films. Because there's so much creativeness with small indie films. I mean, come on. I ended up reviewing short films for the indie film festivals, and those were like 13 minutes long, 10 minutes long, 20 minutes long. There's so much more you can do with the short films like that that people don't realize and put so much detail into it and still manage to pull it off with a great ending.
Yeah.
And everything. You don't need these high dollar budget movies sometimes and stuff like that. And I feel
I
like
want to
indie
throw
movies are
something
so worth it.
in. I'll throw something in about that too. I'm telling you what, I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen a lot of blood over my career too. But I'm just going to be honest. After I seen the finished product, Masquerade, and some of the effects that the team did, some of it made me cringe because I was like, "Oh my gosh!" It's so realistic, man. It made me cringe. And I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen car wrecks, and that didn't make me cringe like some of the effects in Masquerade did. But man, guys just need to see it. They just need to see it to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I know Jason them they did a lot of work on those effects because they were discussing how they were doing it. And you know, when you hear something, you're like, well, that kind of makes sense, but you don't really know what they're talking about. But then after I seen it on the actual film, I was like, man, there's things in there that actually made me cringe. Like I might have even closed my eyes on a couple of them because I couldn't stand it to watch it.
I'll tell you what, that one scene where the main character winds up getting something stuck in his eye, that was surprising. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god! And I nothing really grosses me out or anything like that. I'm like, ooh, that made me cringe.
Yeah.
And everything.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't want to give anything away, but the whole just the knife cutting, just the thought of that, just man, it made me cringe because I mean it's just so real, and I won't give anything away for people who haven't seen it. They just need to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm telling you, it was crazy.
All right. Well, I know that this is going to be it as far as the interview goes and stuff like that. But Jason, Aaron, I want to have you guys both on here again. Sure. And everything as a catch up, just to see where you guys are at with the film and things like that. Because here's the thing, I'm excited for the both of you guys. I'm excited for this third film. I want this third film to happen. And matter of fact, speaking of things to happen, Jason, where can everybody go ahead and donate some money to this thing? Because if I had like $2,000 laying around, I'll just go ahead and give you $2,000 right now.
It would be very much appreciated. So yeah, Indiegogo. We have an Indiegogo campaign. You can just go to the website and type in Lonely Echoes and it'll come up. Lots of perks you guys can choose from $1 all the way up to $1,000. If somebody out there happens to want to be an angel backer is what they're called, somebody who has the means to contribute a lot, like thousands. We are partnered with a nonprofit organization here in Arkansas called Women in Film. So that contribution could be filtered through their organization so that it will be tax deductible. So if that's the case, just reach out to me personally, and I'll get you in touch with the president of that organization. So
okay.
Yeah.
So Aaron, is there anywhere else that people can reach you at or anything like that on your socials, or just
Man, I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
okay?
Anybody can reach me there. I can give them any information they need. And what I don't have, I can contact Jason because he lives so far away. But, yeah,
So
we can definitely do something.
Okay. All
Yep.
right, guys. So if you guys want to, go ahead and follow me underneath Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite on Facebook, underneath the same brand name on Instagram and on Pinterest as well. Another thing too is we actually have a new place that you can actually donate to us if you want to go ahead and donate to us. And this is just to keep the lights here on at Movie Lovers Unite. This is for new equipment, updating StreamYards, keeping the stream going. But yeah, if you guys want to, go ahead and donate $5 to $10 to us by Buy Me a Coffee, buyusacoffee.com/movie lovers. And that's how you can donate $5 to $10 over there. But by smashing that like button, smashing that share button, smashing that bottom right hand corner of the bell right there to allow you guys to know when something new is coming out on our YouTube channel. Matter of fact, we just released an Elvis trailer reaction that's taking off very well. We did a spoiler review for the Batman. We've also done a deep water trailer reaction that I did with the new Ben Affleck movie. So go on ahead. We have plenty of content to feed your needs and everything over here at Movie Lovers Unite. Another thing too is go ahead and rate us on Good Pods. As Good Pods is basically social networking for podcasters or people that love podcasts themselves. And you can rate individual episodes. You can also talk to us and tell us what you think of those individual episodes. Rate us, give us a 5-star ranking if you choose to do so. And then of course on Apple Podcasts. You can also rate us over there and on Spotify now as well. Then, of course, if you want to, go ahead and follow me underneath Movie Lovers Unit on TikTok, Movie Lovers Unit 0, that is. And then Movie Lovers Unit on Twitter. And then if you want to reach out to me or if you're a sponsor, just go ahead and reach out to me at movieloversunite@gmail.com. And that's everywhere that you can follow me at and everything. I do appreciate Aaron and Jason taking their time out of their evening to talk about Lonely Echoes. I would love to actually have them back on here again to do a little bit of a catch up, maybe have the other cast involved and everything too. That would be great. But Jason, it's always a pleasure to have you on here, man. And I
absolutely.
wish you nothing but the best. Same thing for you, Aaron. I wish you the
And
best as well.
in about a month and a half, probably come on again for Voorhees.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds
Voorhees,
great. Hey,
Voorhees
I already have it. April. Got it.
Voorhees is slated to release on YouTube for free on Friday, May 13th. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect for a Slaughterfest. So that's going to be what day again, Jason? So everybody can remember that.
Friday, May 13th.
Okay, Friday, May 13th. And everybody out there, have a great and safe week. And also, to have a safe evening. And always until next time, it's been real. It's been fun. Can't wait to do this again. And bye-bye.